Hello, and welcome to the AIDB UAT video guide for outreach activities in the ECM database. This guide is going to follow along with the written UAT guide for outreach, which covers a variety of features that will be available to outreach staff in the system. These include assessments, individual services, group services, partner events, milestones, and equipment management. To start off, you want to be in the application for your location. In this case, I've selected the Regional Center app. This could also be completed in the Gentry Freedom Center app. I'm going to start out by demonstrating assessments. To add an assessment to a consumer's case record, we need to open a case record for a consumer. Next, we are going to navigate to the Services tab. And the first related list is assessment. Under the assessment, we select new. We then select the type of assessment we are completing. If you do not see the type of assessment that you're completing, select external assessment, which is at the top. Once we select external assessment, we get a list of additional assessments that could be outside of the system. I've selected external assessment. It is automatically linking to the case record of my consumer. It's showing the external assessment record type. I'm going to select for the staff field, I'm going to type in my staff name, press the magnifying glass, and select my staff user record. I'm going to confirm the assessment is today. I can add a date of appointment as well. And then I select the external assessment type. This includes values like Purdue PEG board test, hand skills assessment, aptitude assessment, etc. I will select one value and then also add a status that this is completed. I can also add an assessment narrative for this type of external assessment. For an assessment that is completed in the system, I will again select new, and I can select, for instance, the ILS assessment. When I select next, I'm taken to the ILS assessment record. It is again linking to my consumer's case record. It shows a record type of ILS assessment. And again, we need to select a staff person by typing in our staff name and selecting our staff user. We then confirm the date of the assessment. We can add an appointment date and a status of started. Now we have all of the ILS assessment fields. I'm not going to go through each field, but they're divided into sections, which I will highlight, including the ILS assessment, student presentation, bed area observations and results, laundry observations and results, bath area observations and results, finances, kitchen and cooking, and information regarding hearing loss and vision loss, as well as a recommendation section. Once we've entered all the pertinent information for this consumer for the ILS assessment, we press save, and now this assessment will be saved to the assessment related list alongside our external assessment. This will show all of our assessments completed, including those done by an evaluator or any other staff person in a history of a consumer's service with AIDB. If this is not during evaluation week and this assessment can be billed to ADRS, what we can do is we need to record a one-on-one service. That leads me to my next demonstration. To record an outreach one-on-one service, we will click record service. And in this example, we're talking about an assessment that is billable. For example, an AT assessment would be entered under the assistive technology service. So now that I've selected record service, I have a list of different types of service entries. I can select AT, the assistive technology for an AT assessment. Another example is an ILS assessment, which would be under adjustment. For this example, I'm selecting assistive technology. I select next, and I'm taken to a service entry form. I'm prompted to confirm the date and the start time of this assessment. If I select the create event checkbox, this will add it to my Salesforce calendar. The next section is called program site, and in this section we need to enter the name of our location. I'm going to start typing Talladega and then click the search button and then select the Talladega Regional Center. And now we can enter the AT units of service in 15-minute increments. In this case, my AT assessment took a half hour, so I'm adding 2 units of service. The next field is for location. I'm going to select program offices, contact method, office visit, and client attendance attended. I can then skip down to case note and add a case note if that is pertinent to this entry. You can also, in the next section, staff time, look up your staff user. In this case, I'm going to search for my name and press the magnifying glass and link to my user record. And I'm going to enter the number of 15-minute increments that I have provided to this client. In this case, I'm going to select 3 units because I spent preparation time in addition to the 2 that were client-facing that I indicated above. When I select Save and Close, it will create an attendance record, which will complement the actual assessment that was added to the system. And if the consumer is a VR student, or a VR consumer at a regional center, they will be billed for that AT assessment. All right, so that's how you add assessments and potentially individual services. I do want to highlight that there are some other individual services that are all under record attendance that outreach staff might add. Here we have the options of adjustment, Alabama Initiative for Children and Youth who are deafblind, assistive technology, ATAP, case management, employment, evaluation, etc. So these in the adjustment service, you can add advocacy units, IEP development, independent living, interpreter, keyboarding, mobility, and transportation. I'll show you that now by selecting adjustment and clicking next. I'm again prompted to indicate the date that this service occurred and the time. I'm going to again enter Talladega Regional Center by selecting the magnifying glass and linking to that location. And now we can add the number of units for each of these different services, including advocacy, IEP development, independent living, interpreter, keyboarding, and mobility, as well as transportation. In this case, I'm going to add 2 units of mobility service that were provided at the client home. It was a home visit. I've selected that as the contact method, and the client attendance is attended. I can again add a case note, and I can link to my user record in the staff time section by typing in my name, pressing the magnifying glass, and selecting my user record. In this case, I'm going to say that since I traveled to the client home, there were 4 15-minute units that were required to complete this service. Now I will press Save and Close. This has now created an attendance record for this client for those services. If they are VR, they will be billed for that. If not, they will not be billed for that. And that is how you add individual services for consumers. Now, you might at times have group services that are delivered. To deliver group services, you have to create a group service record. Now, there's an application tab for group services, which I will select right now. You can see existing groups here, but in this case, I'm going to show you how to create a new group by selecting New. I'm going to give this a group name, Outreach Group. I'm going to select a program of adult services. I'm going to select a program site of Talladega Regional Center. You can select the service provided or skip this part. You can select a status of active and or a start date. Well, actually, you must select a start date. Below, you can add description information and you can add recurrence information. This is just informational. It does not actually schedule out the session records, which I'll show you how to do that in a moment. You can also add the capacity, in this case, 5 consumers. Now I will press Save, and this will take me to my new outreach group. The next step is to schedule sessions if this is a recurring group. There is a button for scheduled sessions in the upper right-hand corner, which I will select. And now I will select the service that I'm scheduling for. In this case, I'm going to select, I'm going to select a sign language group and then click Next. I am now brought to a scheduling form where I confirm the date, the start time, and, well, let me back up a second. We're in the scheduling section. You can confirm a date. If you want to schedule this for multiple times, you can go up to the recurrence field and select weekly, which will refresh the page and enable you to indicate one or more days. In this case, I'm going to select Tuesday and Thursday. And then the next field is start time. And then we have our start date, and we can add an end date. In this case, I'm going to say this is a year-long group. And the next section is staff assignment. If we press add row, this form refreshes and allows us to type in the name of a user, which we will then click on the magnifying glass to select. In this case, I'm selecting Joel. I'm giving him a start date. I'm leaving the end date blank for now, and I'm going to say this is an active assignment. I will then press apply, which will save my staff assignment to the scheduling form. Now I press save and close, and that will schedule out all of the outreach group sessions in between the dates that I selected. We can see these sessions by clicking from the Details tab to the Sessions tab. And we can see that every Tuesday and Thursday for the whole year, we have sessions scheduled. To add students or other consumers to the group roster, we need to select the Add Clients button in the upper right-hand corner. It will default to enrolled clients. We can then select the program of adult services and press the search button. This will bring up all of the currently enrolled adult services clients in a list. We can see this table has client name, the household, the case name, the program, and the primary program site. In this way, we can identify the people at the program site we are interested in. I'm going to select 3 consumers who I expect to attend this regularly and press save. Then I will press close to return to the group service record. I can observe the roster at any time by clicking to the roster tab on the group record, and there will be the different group service assignments for consumers. When it's time to record service for a group, we will click on the Sessions tab and press Record Attendance next to the date and time that we are recording attendance for. This will open up a form for the date and time we selected. We will confirm that date time. And then our next section is called staff time. The staff assignment that we added is showing up here for Joel. And then we can add the number of 15-minute increments that were utilized to perform this group service today. In this case, 4 for Joel. The next section is master units of service. In this section, we can indicate client attendance and a location for the group, and it will apply those values to the whole roster below, which we can then change on an individual basis. In this case, I'm going to say that the master unit of service for client attendance is attended and the location is program offices. This will update the form, and now in the individual units of service section, our 3 attendees have their automatic units, they have their client attendance of attended and their location of program offices. I can now individually change one student to tardy and one person's location to distance learning. Any drop-in students can be added by selecting the Add Row button below. Now we need to look up to the case record for the student that we're adding. In this case, I'm going to type in the name Renee and press the magnifying glass. I will then select the Renee Robertson case record. I will leave her 4 defaulted units of service and the defaulted client attendance of attended, and leave the program offices as the location. I then must press apply to save that attendance record to the form. The next section is session notes, where we can add a note for the whole session. Once we're done, we can press save and close. This will save attendance records for all of our consumers who attended the session on that day. And that is how you create a group, schedule sessions, add clients, and record attendance. The next process I'm going to show you is for partner events. Partner events that occur outside of AIDB with other organizations are recorded on organization records. To go to an organization record or create a new organization record, we need to go to the Organizations tab of the application. Here we can see recently viewed organizations. We can add a new organization by selecting New. It will default to Organizations. We press Next. And now we can enter the name of this organization. We'll call this NASA. We're going to call this a government type organization. If it has a parent account, we can look up and link to that here. We can then add a phone number, fax, website, etc. We can indicate if this is an employer. In this case, that's all the information we're going to add, unless we want to add address information down below. When we save this record, we've added a new organization record, which the system has now taken us to. Our next step is to click on the on the partner event tab of the NASA organization record. Here we'll see a list of any past partner events. In this case, there are none recorded, so we will press New. This will bring up a new partner event form that is automatically linked to NASA. We will select a date for the partner event. We will indicate a staff lead. In this case, we're going to put ourselves. We will indicate a type. We'll say that this is deaf, deafblind, and blind etiquette. The next section is called description. We can add an event description, any materials used, any event notes, and we can indicate if an interpreter was provided by selecting yes or no. The next section is called participation. Here we can look up to a contact that might work at the organization who's our primary partner. In this case, I'm going to select Buzz Lightyear. We can also indicate a second partner, staff person at the organization. We can also enter another one below. We can enter the number of expected participants. I'm going to say 15. And then after the event occurs, we can edit this record and add actual participants. We can indicate if this was a fee event, and if it was, what the fee was, in this case, $5. Again, after the event occurs, we can indicate the number of fees, the amount of fees collected. When we save this record, it will create the partner event record here on the NASA organization record. When we are ready to edit this after its occurrence, we can click on the event, and then we can press edit, and we can indicate the actual participants. We had more attendance than expected with 20 people, and we collected $300 in fees. We can save that, and that concludes my demonstration of how to create a partner event record as well as a partner organization record. The next thing I want to show you how to do is to add milestones to a consumer record. To do this, we will go to the case record for our consumer, and we will click on the documentation tab. The first related list here is called Milestones. Here we will select New, and then we can select 3 different types of milestones: certification, diploma, or training program. In this case, I'll select certification, and then click Next. It is automatically linking to our case record. We can link to our client record as well. We can indicate the date that this certification was received, the expiration date, if there is one, the type, which has values such as AIDT, RTW communications, Alabama certified typing test, commercial driver's license, etc. In this case, it is a forklift certification. You can also indicate an other type, and if this was entered by an instructor, we could link to an instructor as well. The last section is called description, which you can add a description of the certification record for this milestone. Then we can save the record and it will show up on our milestones related list. You can repeat this process by pressing new to add diplomas and training programs. And that concludes my demonstration of how to add milestones. The last feature I want to show you is how to manage equipment. At various locations, there might be equipment records, and the way we navigate to those is by going to our program site list. One moment. I'm going to go to another application. We will not need to do this in real life. Okay, here's our program site tab open on our application. Here we can see all of the different program sites for AIDB. We can click on the program site that we are involved with. At this point, I don't believe there's equipment added for Talladega, which I was demonstrating with, so I'm going to use Gentry Campus. And when we open the Gentry Campus program site record, we can see our details of Gentry, and then there's a tab for equipment. When we click on the equipment related list, we can see the different types of equipment that have been added. And then we can also see equipment loans. In this case, I'm going to add a new equipment record by clicking new next to the equipment related list. I'm prompted to add an asset name. In this case, I'm going to say MacBook Pro. It automatically links to the location. We can add location detail as well if this is in a specific building. We can add a funder. Two options are ATAP and ICANN Connect. Our next section is called Asset Details. We can add a category. In this case, I'm going to list it as a laptop. We can add a model, a serial number, an asset tag, blue sticker, purchase cost, manufactured date, acquired date, and the manufacturer. The last section is description, in which we can add asset notes. Once we save this record, it will be added to our inventory of equipment that's available for consumers to loan out. You can see an equipment status of loaned in the equipment related list if there is currently an equipment loan out of this item. In this case, we will click on the MacBook Pro equipment record that we just created in order to add a new equipment loan record. On this equipment record, we can do a couple of things. We can add a photo of it in the Photos tab by selecting Upload Files, and we can also add a loan record by clicking on the Loan tab and then clicking New next to Equipment Loans. When I click New, it automatically links to the right equipment record. We will select a loan date, a status of reserved, loaned, returned, or late. In this case, I will say reserved. A return date that we're expecting, or I'm sorry, this is the actual return date. We'll skip that for now, but we will add an expected return date of a week from now. We also need to link to the consumer contact record. In this case, I'm linking it to Buzz Lightyear. And we need to add a location. In this case, it is Gentry. Our last field in the information section is for staff. So I will add my staff name here. We can also add loan notes. Know that with the expected return date, if the status is not changed to returned by the expected return date, the staff person in the staff lookup here will receive an automatic email reminding them of the loan, and so that they can reach out to the consumer and get the equipment back. Once we're ready to finish this record, we press save, and it will now save this equipment loan. Notice that the availability status of this equipment record has now changed to reserved, which means that other staff will know not to loan out this equipment to anybody else for the time being. Once the equipment has been returned, you will need to navigate to the equipment record, click on Loans, click on the equipment loan record, edit it, and change the status to returned and add a returned date, and save the record. This will now change the status of the equipment back to available so that it can be loaned out to other consumers. So as a reminder, to reach our equipment, we need to go to the program site related list, click on our location, and then click on the equipment tab of our program site record. And then we can see our list of equipment as well as all current loans. That is how you manage equipment loans and equipment reservations. And that concludes my outreach testing guide video. I encourage you to follow the detailed steps in the written guide, which will more deeply illustrate each of the features that I showed you in this video. And I look forward to hearing your feedback. Happy testing.